GeForce RTX 4090 was quite controversial card even before it's released. All rumors about power consumption, how fast it is, its size, and what kind of PCI slot it's gonna use create a lot of excitement about that card. Hi there, my name is Jurand and I work as the 3D graphic artist with Photogrammetry specialization. And I decided to record this video because I had a unique chance to compare very popular 1080 Ti versus two 1390s with the newest RTX 4090 in daily tasks, because benchmarks that we can find in the internet are not something that we are doing daily basis, right? So there will be no game benchmarks or synthetic benchmarks. I recorded average times for 3 items, for example for texture export, video export, stable diffusion, that kind of things, and average of that time, and that provides very confusing results because cycle of the information on the computer is not only on the GPU, but it happened on from the drive and CPU. And the really short answer, should you buy that card, is that depends. So right now we're gonna talk about what kind of hardware I use in my computer. Then I'm gonna show you what kind of results I got between those 3 cards. And then I'm gonna make a small discussion what happened and why I get that kind of particular times instead of others. So yeah, let's start. Okie dokie, so first of all, let's talk about what kind of CPU I use in my system. I made a comparison with the other two equal in terms of amount of cores and threads CPUs from AMD. And I have in my system very popular 5 years ago released Threadripper 9050. And if we compare that CPU with very popular 159050, you're gonna see my CPU is around 30-40% slower, which already indicates there might be a possible bottleneck in my case. And pay attention when you're gonna make your own tests with my datasets, because information goes from the hard drive through CPU to GPU. Another release very recently CPU is 179050. It's again 16 cores, 32 threads CPU. That is in theory even more faster, which is 60-70%. So again, CPU is very important, and I got very fast CPU, but it might be already a bottleneck in my case. Obviously, I had in my workstation a 1080 Ti, as I already said, and I decided to purchase one RTX 1390, and then immediately almost buy another, because prices of those cards went so low, it was no-brainer to make a purchase. Even up here you can see theoretical price is under 1000 euro, and I can confirm it's possible to buy those cards for that price. I connect my cards to PCI 3 X16, which is fast as PCI 4 X8, and according to Steve from Gamer Nexus, impact of how fast the GPU is around 1-2%. So not that much, but it's still there, and I thought it's important to give you information about that. So up here we have a comparison of 1080 Ti with RTX 4090. In theory it's supposed to be the newest card, 200-250% faster, but that ratio doesn't match with at least for numbers that I get in my tests. And of course we can't not, there's no option to not compare RTX 1390 versus 4090, because as I said, you can buy 1390 for under 1000 euro, and RTX 4090 right now is you are able to get for 2000 euro. So you have an option to buy one card 1390 or 2 of those for a price of $114.90. So you have plenty of options. I need to make information that many softwares doesn't use more than one GPU. Even the Substance Painter, I was quite surprised, use just one GPU for texture creation, texture export. And all information, all datasets and cache for softwares were set up on my solid state M.2 Samsung 980 Pro, and because I use PCIe 3, that hard drive was slightly limited in terms of speeds, but not to the degree that should impact anyhow my results. And in case when software decides to ignore my wish to use that drive, it was using another Samsung solid state drive that is 850 Pro, so still really fast hard drive. And right now let's jump into the charts, and I'm gonna explain how to read them, understand them, and yeah, let's get going. Okay, right now you see first slide, and on the top left side you're gonna see a name of the software, then GPU and 3 types for finishing a particular task for each GPU, and average time that is shown on the right side as the graph. On the bottom you see times in seconds. Always on the top will be 1080 Ti, in the middle 3090, and on the bottom 4090. And from that particular slide we see that exporting 100 pictures as the RAW, 2 JPEGs with a rough RAPI, the computer used only CPU because times are not that much different. Same situation is for Lightroom Classic. Again, I saw that times for 4090 first time is same as for 1080 Ti, so I decided to just skip other 3 tests because there is no difference. So again, we can take information that Lightroom export pictures with CPU only. Next is exporting pictures from Topaz Gigapixel that were upscaled twice, and right now I believe we are limited by CPU hard drive because software need to read picture, process it. That's why we gain additional couple of seconds with the newest RTX 4090, but not that much. And if you use one GPU but that is faster than 1080 Ti, you're gonna be fine. Times doesn't change that much after a certain speed, so you are good to go with the new card from RTX series. It's 3090 or 4090. Another software will be again Topaz production. It's Sharpener 2.2.4. It's not the newest one, so I believe the results with the current version might be very different. Their software changed a lot, so it's possible they might add something like with the Gigapixel, that impact of the speed. But for that particular version of the software, times are different indeed. You gain additional 10%, something like that, with the new GPU. So if you decide to go with the newer card, definitely you should aim with the 1490 because you gain additional couple of seconds. And if you export a lot of pictures, then you're gonna save precious time with that card. Next group of the tests is photogrammetry based. So that chart show you overall view how GPUs work with the Gsoft Metashape, Reality Capture and 3D Zephyr. That one is on the bottom. And overall I made tests on the same dataset, but do not take those times and take information that Metashape is the fastest one, because the result between those softwares on the output geometry will be different. To match those results we need to make more tinkering, that kind of things, but the output from that picture should be okay. Overall, we can use 2 GPUs to gain additional time. Okay, first slide for photogrammetry is from reality capture, and you notice that each single row is divided by 3 columns. First column is times for alignment. Next slide is from Argisoft Metashape, and again you see that 2 GPUs give you way more speed. And pay attention that somehow RTX 4090 was slower than 1080 Ti. I have no idea what happens, but I made way more tests than just those 3, and each single time it was the same situation. I don't know what happened, but we can assume it's something with the CPU. But in that situation, why 1080 Ti is faster, I have no idea. So I encourage you to just get Argisoft standard and try version and make test by yourself to compare your numbers with mine. Third slide is from Zephyr 6.513. It's the newest official, it's the current official version. And once again, if you use 2 GPUs, you're gonna notice that you have additional speed. Again, my times between 1080 Ti and 4090 are very similar. And I decided to make official benchmark with 3D Zephyr. You can download a free version of the software and use benchmark by yourself to compare your times with mine. And in those comparisons, you're gonna notice that time for 1080 Ti is identical overall with RTX 4090. I have no idea what happens, but if you take a look at time right now and look at those numbers for one RTX 3090 from somebody else that use Intel CPU, gonna see how big difference is. We're talking about 3 minutes difference, which is 33%. Somehow that person was able to get 33% faster results than me with my 4090, which is crazy. Something happened, I have no idea. I spoke with developers, and apparently there's issue with the hard drive reading speed through CPU. So CPU was a bottleneck basically. Next group of tests are about texture exporting. So right now we're looking at Art Engine that is not supported anymore, but it's really good software, so you can still use it. And test was I decided to create a really long node-based tree. Software operates with the nodes, so part of the information is created, then moved to another node to be processed further, another node, that kind of thing. So we might see explanation why I get same times for 1080 Ti as for 4090. 2 GPUs provides you additional speed because probably software were able to divide workload across the 2 cards instead of everything to 1. Okay, Substance Alchemist is well, extra thing. I wasn't sure how to make a test, so I created a very complex material and just count time that software takes to export maps. So probably ambient occlusion generation would be a deciding factor for our times. But you can see that I start the graph from the 64 seconds because difference were so small we not even care. So if you use old GPU, you will be perfectly fine with that software. But from the other hand, I use a lot of Substance Painter in my work. So again, I create times for creating textures, baking textures inside of the software itself. And the only difference right now I can imagine happens is again for ambient occlusion generation and type of normal maps based on that. And the newest RTX 4090 was faster than old card, but I expect you will be perfectly fine with the 3090. So for half of the price, you will be perfectly fine with your type of work. Okay, so There's a group of tests that is based on the creation image with the path tracing, ray tracing, and first software was E-ray, or actually I supposed to say module, and that particular slide is my favorite because it shows you that RTX 4090 is faster than two 3090s. So it confirmed that what everybody was saying during presentations, that 4090 is fast as two 3090s Ti. I expect the answer for how that happened is because software load all assets to VRAM of the GPU and they never move out from there. And that's why everything stay on the GPU, everything is processed on the GPU, and that's why we have even faster times. So definitely go with the newest RTX card. Twinmotion is replacement for Unreal Engine tests. I tried to make a video recording with the Unreal Engine 4.27, but I got each single time a crash. So I decided, okay, I'm pressured by time, so let's go with the Twinmotion. Twinmotion is official fork that provides simplified interface, but overall possibilities that and things that you can make with that software are similar with an Unreal Engine. So test itself was to render path tracing frames of the scene, and definitely up here you can go with the new RTX card because times are even 6 times faster with the new RTX 4090. Again, that card is faster than two 3090s because assets never leave VRAM of the GPU. Last software for ray tracing, path tracing is Maverick Render Engine. It's a paid software. You can use it for free with the watermark. So in that case you can go with the Blender cycle, that kind of things. And in that particular case I decided to contact with developer because I noticed that two 3090s are faster than one 1490. And he explained me that in the way apparently software were losing time because it was offloading information of the already processed part of the image. So to particular stage, it's processing, and then finish it. Okay, let's jump to the another part of the image. And that's why two GPUs are faster, because software divide again workload across two cards independently. And there's even a screenshot of their official benchmark that you can download. So in theory my card was slightly slower than official RTX 4090, but that's about overclocking. Overall one 3090 is slightly twice faster, but not that much. And yeah, basically you can see those numbers and test your card by yourself. Okay, last group of tests is something I called extra, which is things that I'm not doing each single day. And I made that test incorrectly because I decided to just export 1 minute 4K video. And as you can see, 1080 Ti is same fast as RTX 4090. Obviously, if you add more effects, add transitions, that kind of things, processing time will be different. So we don't count that test almost at all, except fact that two GPUs were slower. Interesting, free tier of DaVinci Resolve doesn't support multi-GPUs, so in theory that software is supposed to use just one of those cards. Fact that you have two of them inside of your system make a confusion to the software. And we can see that again with the exporting of 1 minute of 1080 video, slide chart on the right side is mixed, so don't look at it, look at times on the left, and you see that two RTX 3090s lose around 6 seconds, which is significant amount. If you use a free tier of the software, you have a multi-GPU, take off one of your cards, I know that sounds ridiculous, but apparently that creates a confusion. You can buy official license for 200 euro. So if you export a lot of videos and you want to use DaVinci, yeah, purchase license and go then with 2 GPUs, otherwise use just one. And right now we're looking at FlameFlow chart. That is interpolation AI software for video. It's similar technology like DLSS 3 for games, but up here you add frames between additional frame between tool for video. So if you use RTX 4090, you're gonna have faster times, but not that much. Chart on the right side is again busted. It's supposed to be flipped, but that's my fault. I don't know why RTX are slower, but maybe again software were confused by multi-GPU. Did not support multi-GPU, but that's what happened. And last slide is from for DreamBooth by MMKD module. DreamBooth is creating an AI model for Stable Diffusion. That things required minimum, well, around 24 gigabytes of VRAM, so I wasn't able to perform test on 1080 Ti. And that doesn't support multi-GPU. So right now we're looking at in theory times for one 3090 versus one 4090. And gains are significant, but Stable Diffusion technology research goes so fast that a couple of days ago automatic 11.11 release update that allows to create DreamBooth models in my case on 4090 in 20 minutes, so 3 times faster. So that chart again is obsolete because research goes so fast. And quickly all slides at once. Okay, now cherry on top are benchmarks, official benchmarks for Blender and Tomb Raider, but that was just more like information for myself where I can go with my card by overclocking it. And I noticed that official scores for RTX 4090 for Blender is 12,000, and I was so surprised to have just 10,313 points, but after overclocking, as you can see, I almost get 12,000 official points. So if you get a card, you might go with the overclocking, but everybody says and confirm you're gonna get additional 5% or something like that, but power consumption will be significantly higher. So I use Zotac card, and in my case apparently they undervolted by default, and I don't know why, but that's what they do. Another slide again from Maverick render benchmark, and as you can see I had a slightly lower score compared with the official RTX 4090, but after overclocking it I suppress 10,000 points, which is higher than official score. And last benchmark set is for Tomb Raider. My average FPS before overclocking was 34 FPS and 5,200 points. When after overclocking I gain additional 10%, so my average FPS goes up by 4 frames to 37, and score went up by 500 points to 5,757. Okay, so this is end of the video. Sorry it was so long, but I'm not professional reviewer, and as you can see, from my perspective, there's no clear answer should you buy 4090 or not. If you render a lot, then definitely go with that newest GPU, but if software that you use needs to load a lot of files from the drive through the CPU, that might depend how fast CPU and hard drive you have. So definitely go and take a test by yourself with the datasets that I provide with that video. and to see where your hard drive, your system stands compared with mine. If you used other softwares, well, that depends, so you need to make tests by yourself.